So discipline, mate. We're going to talk about not my favorite team. So this is a weekly wind down, guys. So it's been excellent to have you on, Nath. Like it's
That's been good, mate. Thank you.
Man, we always like to go around the world with guests, and it's been deep and hopefully thought provoking more from you than me.
Yeah.
But I like to lighten the mood and talk a little bit of footy or whatever interest that person has. So yeah, Penrith, my probably least favorite team, I got to say. I think I said to you, I was like, you're the only Penrith supporter I like at the moment.
Yeah.
So, but mate, if you don't say you respect them, I'm going to say like you're a mug, mate. You want to take like an old Aussie saying you're a mug because, man, they've done so well to get in the position. I never thought I would see it with my eyes, like of a team winning 4 in a row. It's been amazing. So, like, for you, how do you feel this weekend? Like, first time in 6 years, actually, not have Penrith in the grand final.
Well, firstly, like, just so you're aware, I'm from Penrith, so I'm not on the bandwagon, right? And secondly, commiserations to you because, fuck, have you seen them win a grand final? No.
So we've talked about the trauma in your life, but bloody hell, man. A lot of times I joke, but it's like you say, raising Eva to be a ill supporter. Man, it's child abuse almost.
And it was weird too because when they played Penrith, a few years ago in the grand final, I honestly thought that this would be Parramatta are going to stay in the top 8, but they just kind of fell off the earth, right? But I am a Penrith supporter, and yeah, like even seeing, I remember when they won their first one against the Rabbitohs. Actually, was in Manly when they played Melbourne, and they were getting absolutely pumped, and they started coming back in the second half, and I thought, fuck, they can actually win it here, and they just fell short. They just needed, I reckon, another 90 seconds, and I reckon they would have won that one too. But
that's usually what I say to Polly.
I just need 90 seconds. But yeah, like what an awesome effort. And it's weird because people are coming along and saying, they've won their 4 and how they don't want. It's interesting because supporters, like I look at teams like Melbourne and even Brisbane. Like if Melbourne this time around, this is now, Craig Bellamy's, he's now going to break the record he's going to have 11 grand finals, right? But Melbourne have been in a lot of grand finals as well. But people don't want Penrith to be the dynasty. But if it was their team, if it was Parramatta, how would you feel? Like you'd be like, man, like give them 5. And for me, I was always being Penrith to make it the 5th grand final, or to win the 5th grand final. Was like, just give them 5 and I don't care. And I actually didn't mind how they went this year either. But mate, to come from last place, I think they were last by 4 points, I think, to then make it into the top 8, to come from 8th position, to then make the last 4 teams, to nearly do Brisbane. And I think the only thing that got them the loss last weekend was the fact, I think they thought that they had it. And I think that they kind of switched off a little bit. And the same thing happened with the Bulldogs the week before that, where they were so far ahead and they switched off. And I reckon Ivan would have been a bit, actually probably not, but Craig Bellamy would have been quite pissed that they allowed them to score 26 points. But I think that it's not the end of an era. Mate, they've got some young guys coming in, and I still question that intercept pass from Casey McLean, whether he was offside or not. It was close. It was so close.
I gotta say, I thought he was offside.
Yeah, but I mean,
close.
I just think they switched off. But they were super flat in attack in the second half because I think they thought they had it. But Brisbane, they wanted it more because they had so much hunger from the loss 2 years ago that I just think that they were just like, yeah, I want it. But mate, that pass from Reece Walsh, that just goes to show what athlete he really is. He annoys me. He's got such beautiful eyes. So, mate,
he's a very good-looking guy.
He's a very
my mum has a real, I don't know, not vendetta, but she just doesn't like him whatsoever. But I just enjoy watching him play so much. I know he's a polarizing character, you could say, but he's like the ball of energy. When he goes, he's very good.
He's very
at what
good.
he does.
Very good. I think, I think it's just his personality, and he's maybe he's changed a little bit now, but I think a couple of years ago when he was seen as this guy's the next thing, he was arrogant. And I think that was the thing that turned people off him a little bit, including me. But you can't take away of what an amazing athlete he is. Like he's phenomenal, and it's kind of like Jerome Luai. Like you look at Jerome Luai, and it's like at first I was like, yeah, like he's he thinks he's fucking pretty good. I actually do question now that he doesn't play for Penrith and he doesn't have Nath next to him. He's got a lot of work, he's got a lot of things to prove. I still think he's an amazing athlete, but I don't think he'll get picked for New South Wales next year. I think they'll go Mitch Moses, Nath Cleary again. I think 6 and 7.
I think with Jerome, I don't know. It's hard to say because I don't know him, but I find like anyone who comes out in the public and sort of says, I don't care about something, I feel like that's your way of saying you do.
You know who that reminds me of? You should know him, Bernard Tomic. Remember Bernard Tomic?
100, mate, I could not agree with you more that mate, you're preaching to the choir. He always talks about like, oh, but I've made this money and blah, blah, blah. But you do care, mate. That's why you keep going on about it.
Do you know, but not just that. He's come back to try and get back onto the circuit of tennis. So he's playing again. So if you don't really care that much, why are you deciding to play again? Like, why are you back on the circuit to try and get back into the big games to earn more money? Or are you doing that because you want to be a good tennis player again, but you don't care?
I got to sort of throw another tennis player and say
Nick Kyrgios.
Nick Kyrgios.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing because I feel
the
like...
difference, Nick Kyrgios is... Fuck, he's good. He's a good player.
He's a good player, but I just find when he comes out and says things like, oh, well, I make more than a plumber or whatever else the comment, and, you know, I don't really care about tennis.
I want to be a basketballer. I want to go to the NBA.
Yeah, it's like you do care. That's why you say it, but you probably, maybe it's like what we were talking about before on the main pod. I know this is a bit the lighter one, but maybe he sort of doesn't realize why he acts in certain ways and it just doesn't correlate to tennis and he can't focus. He really can't focus, but he lashes out at the media. And I'm not saying the media can be fucked as well, but he lashes out the media because of that. He hasn't found his thing, which is opposite to, let's say, to talk about Nathan Cleary. He's probably the opposite of that. He seems very, for a young guy, very like secure in himself and very method based and sort of preparation based as well.
He's a clinician, isn't he?
100%. Like I wish he'd do it a little bit more for New South Wales. I got to say that. But so what do you reckon? So for this, like for Broncos Storm, you can give me like because I feel sort of, you can give me like a heart and head prediction, but like who you'll support Brisbane, you'll say?
I'll support Brisbane just because like it's been 19 years for them. Like ideally I'd want none of them in the grand final. I'm not really too keen on any of them, but I think they play exciting football. I feel as if Melbourne are so clinical that they might be able to shut them down. I think Craig Bellamy and the way that he thinks, I mean, he's won like 14 games against Maguire. I think Maguire's only beaten him once, right? And I think that I just think that Craig Bellamy is just he's got a tact, and I think the stats in this final series is that Brisbane have only been ahead of the game for 17 minutes. I think that's a massive one. So I think if Melbourne can get the first try or whatnot, and you know, I actually think it might be Brisbane. Brisbane will get the first try. Melbourne will come back. If Melbourne can keep the lead, I think they'll shut them down. But I want Brisbane to win. I just want Brisbane to beat Melbourne. And you know what? This is all a bit cliche, but I just think they've been in too many. Same thing about Penrith, right? But I've never really liked the way that Melbourne play. I think they're a bit grubby, but so are Brisbane. So I don't know, man.
Well, Melbourne invented the grappling and everything like that. So there's a big, even for Eels fans, obviously 2009, the salary cap. There's a lot of reasons why I think people want Brisbane. But I was chatting with Mason in the office today. So he's young. A lot of them are young at One Playground Maryland. But he was sort of saying, or we were chatting about what's interesting. So in his life, he's a Brisbane supporter because of his dad. He's not a Glory or whatever you call it. Yeah. But he's seen 2 grand finals. Whereas you and I would see Brisbane as like kind of a juggernaut when you think about it. Like, and when it's said that, a few of the players were 4 years old or can't really remember the 2006 win, that's very foreign to me because I remember growing up, Brisbane were the Melbourne, were the Penrith. Everyone hated them. They had the stacked. Remember, they had Darren Lockyer, you had Shane Webke, you had Brad Thorne, you had like Lottie Takiri, Wendell Saylor. They were on the wings, and they were that sort of changed the prototype of what a winger is. They were the size of a second rower.
It's like a Jonah Lomu.
Yeah, and they were on either wing. So where are you going to kick?
So true.
So they were such a juggernaut. But now it's interesting that the narrative gets flipped. And this is one of the reasons. So I tipped Melbourne to win it at the start of the year, but I'll be honest, because this started as a rugby league podcast, I want to be right. Like I'd said that in the preseason, Melbourne. I did say Melbourne Bulldogs grand final, but I said Melbourne will win the grand final at the end of the year. But the only thing I'm thinking with Brisbane, a few of the things is Melbourne lost last year. So there's a pressure on them to win,
hungry.
But I think that could be a negative too because they have that pressure. Another thing is people keep talking about the rest. You know how Melbourne played on the Friday night and
the extra 2 days.
The extra 2 days. Could Brisbane actually? They've got a few reasons to just go out there and say, no one really expected us to be in the grand final this year. Melbourne, it's a second time in a row, so they don't want to lose 2 in a row. Number 3 is the preparation. Everyone's saying we're going to lose because we've had a harder preparation. So it's a little bit less pressure on Brisbane.
I don't know about you either, but me, if I was a Brisbane supporter 2 years ago, mate, I had VIP tickets to the game, right, to watch the Penrith game. I got stuck in Tassie because I'm a Collingwood supporter as well in AFL. And so I went down there to watch it with my uncle. He's a Collingwood, like fanatical Collingwood fan. So I went to watch it with my uncle and Arnie, went down there and I woke up the next morning, went to get my flight home to watch the game. My flight was cancelled, so I wasn't able to get home. So I gave my ticket to another Brisbane supporter. So there was 2 Brisbane supporters that went. And when Brisbane was so far ahead, they had like apparently a video ready to send me. And I thought, actually, no, we'll just hold off on that just because the game's not over. And then Penrith came back. If I was a Brisbane supporter, I'd go back to 2 years ago as my motivation because to be so far ahead, to then lose it, like I reckon that's why they'll be hungry. But they just need to be composed at the start, I think, Brisbane, and they just need to not let it get ahead of them because Melbourne are like Penrith. They'll grind and grind and grind and grind. And I just don't know how you can penetrate Melbourne. I don't know what's the best way because they just seem to be quite clinical in defence in all areas, right? And they seem to be able to know what makes the teams tick that they play against to be able to attack more efficiently. I want Brisbane to win. I think Melbourne, I'll pick the score, 14-6. And I reckon Brisbane will score first, I reckon, and that'll be like the big craze. And then I reckon it'll be like 6-6 at halftime. And I reckon Cam Munster. I actually said earlier the other day, I think it might have been today, I said, I reckon Pappenhausen's going to get injured. I reckon Munster's going to go to fullback. And I reckon he'll get the Clive Churchill.
Okay, that's a big one.
That's just like a really far left kind of
I kind
gamble.
of do like that. That would be something that, if you said that to me now, that would spruik my interest about like gambling.
Yeah.
I would,
right.
Yeah, 100%. And I was about to say too, so it's been 13 years since I have had a bet, but if I was going to, even though I picked Melbourne at the start of the year, I'd do Brisbane. And the reason being is all the stories, man. I'm really big on like some sort of thing with destiny, and obviously it ended up working out for me, winning in the end. But the destiny of like Ben Hunt coming back and redeeming himself.
Because he dropped that catch.
Because he dropped the catch. You know how Reynolds missed the kick when it was against you guys for Souths against Penrith. He missed it, and then you guys won and started the dynasty. Then he ended it on the weekend. That's sort of another story I find quite interesting.
Ooh, yeah.
And then there was one other one. It's just not in my mind at the moment. We were chatting about today in the office that I just can't think of. But there's a few stories, and that I'm big on intuition and things like that. And I used to like imagine in what would be on the back page of the paper. That's what I used to often imagine. So it's really hard, man, because I picked on the podcast, I picked the two. So unfortunately, I did pick Brisbane and and Storm to play in the grand final. And I think poor John, he was a great guest, but he went the other way on both games. He's like, really, really think so? I was right there. But the grand final, I'm going to say, God, it's so hard to predict, man.
They both play different styles of footy. And that was the same thing when Penrith played Brisbane 2 years ago. They very, very different style. And this is exactly the same. It's almost like watching Penrith play Brisbane again 2 years ago. And I reckon it could be floodgates could open up with Brisbane getting away with it, or Brisbane could be a bit nervous at the start and then Melbourne get ahead and maybe it won't be 6-all. Maybe it'll be like fucking 12-all or 14-all at halftime. I don't know. It could go either way.
It's hard. And then I think like if Jerome Hughes, for example, if he was, I know he played really well, man, and he fended or palm, whatever you want to call it, with that broken arm on the weekend. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, to score the try. And that's when he scored that try, I messaged my mate, he's a Sharks fan. I'm like, same thing with the stories and stuff. I'm like, I don't know, just the fact he fended your player with that and scored a try. If you were a Storm player, that's got to motivate you, man. 100%. That would pump me up. Like if I'm like, this guy's got a broken arm and he just used his broken arm to score a try. So, but the only thing I'll say about Melbourne, how you're saying they're quite methodical. This year there has been certain, what would you call it, like cracks. Like remember how they played the Roosters and they were winning, they played the Roosters late in the year. I know Roosters had a big surge. Like some people thought they would be in the grand final. I didn't really think so. I mean, I thought they'd beat Cronulla the first week, but they were winning 10-0 and then Roosters ended up winning like 40-10 in the second half. So I thought that was very un-Melbourne-like.
Finals footy. This is the grand final.
It's going to be so interesting, man. I'm actually like, not in terms of really wanting someone to win, but as a rugby league, like tragic, like I am looking forward to the game.
Yeah, should be. I think it'll be a cracker. But in saying, I thought the AFL grand final was going to be a cracker too, but that was so disappointing. But I think it will be. I think it'll be a tight game. But I think Melbourne, but I don't want to say heart, but I think it would be good to see Brisbane win. First one in 19 years.
Yeah, I'll probably... there's a lot of I want to agree with you, but there's a lot of... I think I'll say like this. I agree with you. I think my head says Melbourne, my heart says Brisbane, but... What would I do if I had 50? If I was still betting 50 grand on games, I'd put it on Brisbane. For the story, for the storylines.
I can tell you now, because Brisbane won the AFL. If Brisbane win the NRL, Brisbane are also playing the Warriors. All right, so that could be a Brisbane. Like when Penrith won it that year, it was all Penrith. And then who's after that? There's the Bears and who's the other one?
Warriors.
Is it Bears and Warriors? No, I think it's Bears and someone else, isn't it? Who won the New South Wales?
Yeah, the Warriors.
I thought it was the Warriors and Broncos.
Nah, it's so Warriors. Their State Cup's Warriors versus Burleigh Bears.
Oh wow!
And then the NRLW is Broncos Roosters.
Ah right. Yeah. Okay. Broncos Roosters. So it could be Broncos.
And when you're saying that, when the Brisbane Lions won the AFL, when Brisbane did start, like when it was 14-0, I'm not going to come on here and be like, Phil Gould and say, oh, I was telling my wife or like I was telling people that I thought you'd won, like Penrith. I was like, that's it. Like my tip's wrong, whatever, put it to bed. But when they did start coming back, the same thing. My gambling mind did think of the Brisbane Lions winning and the women. I know not every storyline, mate. If every storyline from my heart came true, it would be Parramatta obviously winning it. I know every storyline doesn't come true, but I feel like in sport there is some sort of destiny. Like look at that game with Canberra and Brisbane, like that's said to be one of the greatest games ever. There's a lot of things that could have happened. Like when Canberra went in front by 14 or whatever it was, I thought, oh, that's like it's over. And there were so many things that happened in that game that led to Brisbane
winning by the 1 point.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's the first time in history too that in the same year, the team who won the minor premiership in both codes were bailed out.
It was. I did see that on an Instagram post. So yeah, in the NRL and AFL era, if you call it like under the banners of NRL and AFL, it's the first time.
And I can tell you now, I don't know what Ivan Cleary has to do to get Coach of the Year.
Do you think?
He's never got it.
Sorry. So you don't mean... I think he definitely should have won Coach of the Year, but I thought Ricky Stewart was deserving this season.
This year, yeah, but like any year.
So
Like,
he hasn't... Yeah, you're right. He hasn't got it at all.
Craig Bellamy got it, I think, last year. I think Craig Bellamy got it. Ivan didn't. But I think Penrith still look good next year. I think they're keeping most of their players. I think Blaise Talagi is going to be better for this year. I think he was a bit leaky, but
yeah,
I think he can come.
Man, he came good. He came good for you guys. Like, I had mixed emotions when he first went over and he wasn't doing well. I was like, well, that's the reason we let him go. But see, Penrith have more patience than us. They left him in New South Wales Cup. And then when they felt like, oh, he's ready, we bring him in. And then, like, he wasn't the only reason. But even Papali'i, man, he was excellent for us. And then at Tigers, like, he was terrible. And then for you guys, he's probably...
I thought he was going to be the X factor, the big X factor for Penrith this year. And I think he did, like, as in like in the final series, and he was in the first game. And then he was still good. And I think that the master play of putting Paul Alamotti in there, I don't know why they never chose him until the end and took out Jenkins. But I think Penrith will be good next year still, I think. I think the Bulldogs will come back stronger. Now they got Crichton. I think the Roosters will start to come good again. I think you guys just need Mitch Moses healthy. Who's going to be your six?
Josiah Papali'i played a little bit there. But I said something a bit crazy on the podcast last week, but I still stand by it. I would, honestly, if Cherry Evans would consider going to the Eels, I would buy him.
You were saying he's going to the Roosters? Is that not...
That's pretty much set in stone. But I just found it, like, the narrative sort of flipped that he's too old, he's rubbish, whatever. But honestly, if I was Eels management, I would actually try to get him to the... Because we're like a little bit... We're the second youngest team in the comp, and West Tigers are the youngest.
Isaiah Yongi, he's going to be good.
No, he will be good, and he was in line for Rookie of the Year in the Dally M's last night as well.
Yeah.
Man, that was, speaking of that, God, that was a bit not boring, but Tedesco shitted it in. He basically,
I didn't see it.
They stopped the ceremony. Pretty much, because he was so far ahead, they couldn't win. Like, the last 4 games, they didn't even say, 3 points, 6 points, but blah, 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 he won. Yeah. Because Luke Metcalf was doing well at the start of the year. He was, like, leading the Dally M's at one point, and then he was out, and then,
But Nath Cleary was the same. He was injured for a part of it too, I think.
Yeah, because actually my wife, Polly, she said, she's like, Nathan Cleary, like, he's never won it. And I said... No, but he's often either you got Origin, and then also he's often been rested or injured for you guys as well. So he hasn't ever played a full season to get, because she found that amazing. She's like, he's never won. I said, no, he's never won it. But
Ivan's never got coach of the year either.
But I want to go, you come back to that. But I want to, because you've been more, I've been a little bit vague with my predictions, I got to say, on this one. But I want to, because you spoke about next year and you've been more like certain with things. I'm sure I'll get their feedback of that. But yeah, who do you think will win it next year?
Ooh, I think, I think the Raiders still look good if he's keeping the team. And I think Fogarty, he's gone to the Raiders, hasn't he?
Yes.
He's gone back to the Raiders?
No, well, he's at the Raiders now. He's gone to Manly.
Oh, he's gone to Manly, sorry. Okay, yeah, which could be quite tough. I don't know. The Bulldogs, I thought Connor Tracy had a pretty cool season too, and I reckon he could lead the team with Stephen Crichton if he's back on deck. It's tough, mate. Like, I mean, you never say no to Penrith either if they've kept the same team and they can start the season off well, not the way that they started this year, sorry. I don't know. I think it's tight, and I think this was one of the tightest NRL seasons I think I recall. It was super tight. Hey, like Penrith could have made the top 4 in the second last round.
Well, even Phil Goulden, I do agree with this. He was like that the bottom teams would smash the bottom teams of the last few years.
100%.
Because remember, like around, you'd remember, like I said, they can't talk to the young guys about this, but around like even when Penrith won that 2003 grand final, that year, first could play last, and you genuinely didn't know who was going to win. Like every team was very similar, and they were saying, they'll never be. It's funny, man. We always look for the negative. They're like, they'll never be these super teams, and then when we get those super teams, we don't want it. We want it to be even, so whatever. But I remember the chat at that time. They're like, oh, every team's the same. It's good, like it's exciting, but we won't have those Canberra of the 90s. We won't have Brisbane.
And I think that's good. But you need the salary cap, right? I'll tell you who I think could be a bit of a dark horse next year, and I thought maybe they might go well this year. One of my best mates I went to school with. He's a Knights fan.
Do you think they're going to be good?
I think they can make the top 8. Yeah, like you think
Wow.
Dylan Brown, Kalen Ponga.
I'm going to go.
I don't know, maybe.
I'm going to go against you, bro. I think that they've got all their money into players that aren't really consistent.
Yeah, right.
That's what I got to say, man, about that.
I think coach as well.
Yeah, I think they're going to struggle.
So if you look at the bottom 8 teams of this year, the bottom 8, who do you think could be the dark horse? Do you think the Tigers can get the 8?
I'm going to be. I don't think this is actually being biased, and I don't think I'm that bad as an adult, but I think Parramatta. Because I think we ended with 5 from 6 wins.
You guys are unfortunate with Mitch Moses.
Yeah.
Like, that's unfortunate. That'd be like us without Nath Cleary.
But a few Eels fans did say this year, they said, oh, we would have made it with Mitch Moses. I don't really believe that, because I just think few of the guys were about 12 months or even 6 months off their potential. Like a lot of the younger forwards say, I don't reckon we would have made that this year. But I do think the way we ended with beating Roosters, we only lost to Melbourne by 6 as well in that time period. But people sort of forget about that game. But we lost to Melbourne by 6, beat Roosters, beat the Warriors. Obviously, we demolished the Knights 66. I know that's not a big feat, but for us, it was a good way to end the year. So I reckon we'll be back in the 8 next year.
What about the Warriors?
I think they'll be good. They have been unlucky, man. It's like we're just saying about Metcalf.
Yeah.
If he played, I don't want to say they'd win it, but they would have been like probably in this like last weekend's games at least, like competing for it. But yeah, they got unlucky, man.
All right, so you're thinking Titans, Knights, Wooden Spoon
For next year?
Challenging.
Yeah, I hate to be that guy that always says the same shit that happened last year, but I don't seem that well, man. But yeah, God, we've been around the world. I'm conscious of the fact you've got a client, man. But thanks so much for coming on. It's been amazing, man. We've taken a load off for this week.
That was fun.